Hey, fuckers.
What do you think of that?
No seat better than front row.
Do you know what that was?
Sax.
There you go.
Absolutely.
It's going to be our new pot strain.
What the fuck did you do to your face?
Nothing. What do you mean?
You're a little blotchy today. A little blotchy.
A little sunburn. Out in the sun too long.
It's March, for Christ's sake.
I know. Well, the sun was hot really yesterday. No, I guess it was Friday night. I was sound asleep in the chair. And I got up and then I was going to throw a couple more logs on the fire before I went to bed because this thing heats the whole house and I like to keep it going.
Yeah.
So I went over, I got the poker, I opened the doors. It's an insert, so you got to be really careful when you open the door, else it'll give you like a backdraft effect.
Okay.
So I was really careful. Everything was fine. Got the poker, poking it around. Then I looked up at the TV and I lost my balance. I just toppled right over into this insert, which is like, I don't know, 400 or 500 degrees. It's like a pizza oven.
Jesus
And my
Christ.
face hit it. And honestly, I didn't feel anything until like 2 days later. I could tell I had a little burn right here. And my glasses got broken because I slammed into it. What a fucking idiot. And I was a little high. It was stupid. It was fucking stupid. But the worst part was on my neck, and I'm still a little concerned about that. But I'm fine. I'm ready to go.
A burn is one of the most painful things you can go
Usually,
through.
but I think it was like a 3rd degree burn. I mean, you remember Richard Pryor's skit when he burned himself up?
Yes.
And he said he didn't feel a thing. And he was in the hospital and they're going, okay, Rich, we're going to clean you. We're going to take all the skin off of you. It's going to be fine. Okay, Rich. And he just kept telling me everything's going to be great. We're going to wash you down and everything's going to be great. Rich, okay. Then they come in, okay, Rich, time for the bath. And they put one rag on him. He goes, please don't do that anymore. Please stop. Because it's fucking painful. And I noticed when I took a shower. That's when it went, oh, fuck. There it is.
Shit.
There it is. That's what they're talking about. Please don't shower on me no more.
So I guess the lesson is,
Don't get high and fondle a fire.
yes, have somebody to take care of the fireplace when you're getting high.
Yeah, Kelly does help me. She knows when I go outside and do a puff, she knows I better take care of the fire for about an hour.
Especially now.
Yeah, especially. I learned a lesson. Alcohol and pot's probably not a good combination. So I got to let one of them go for a while. As much as I love to drink alcohol, it's getting dangerous.
The summer and the pool's almost here.
I know.
That's going to be a rough one.
Well, I got NAs.
There you go. Okay. All right. So last week we got a good reaction to it, man, and I thought it was a lot of fun when we did the word association.
Yeah.
We talked about, I think, talking about Bret Michaels really brought people into the video because of that long-standing
Didn't you
idea
say you heard
people
from
have.
Ricky Rocket after that?
Ricky Rocket. Thanks for watching, Ricky Rocket.
Yeah. Hi, Ricky.
He messaged me, said, we love Steve and we love KIX.
Well, they were friends until they stole our entire show and kind of resented it for a while, but we're over it.
Very good. Very good. It also got picked up and put out as the headline, Steve would answer the phone from Donnie Purnell.
Oh, really?
Called. Yeah. So,
Funny, let me check my phone. He hasn't called yet, has he? Yeah. He wouldn't have my cell phone. He would have our old home number.
Yeah. He could find how to get a hold of you.
True.
So let's do some word association again with some familiar faces.
All right.
I'll tell you what, let's start off with Jimmy Chocolate Chalfant.
Jimmy Chocolate
What's your thoughts on him?
He's my best friend.
Yeah.
I courted him into the band when our old drummer, Donnie Spence, had gotten to the point where he couldn't work with the band anymore. We knew we had to get another drummer in and they were going to put me out front permanently. So I start courting Jimmy. I was everywhere. It was Atlas Ram, the name of his band.
Okay.
And everywhere they would play and we had a night off, I would go there and I would court him. And I felt like a scumbag because they'd be buying me beers because I'm sitting there stealing their drummer. And I felt like a shithead. But I knew that Jimmy was the missing piece. We all knew that. And Donnie and Jimmy had worked before in Starship.
Yeah.
And Jimmy was hesitant to come back and work with Donnie because he's not an easy guy to work with. And Donnie asked me to go out and recruit him. So I did and talked him into it. It took me a couple of weeks. He had to have a sit down with his dad and talk about it because his dad knew how Donnie was and how hard it was to work with him. But finally, I talked him into it. And the first night Jimmy got up on stage and played, Jimmy and I used to do drum solos. He would do his big old drum solo. And you play 4 sets, you're going to stretch.
Yeah.
So Jimmy did a drum solo, and then I got up and did a drum solo.
Okay.
Now, because Jimmy's drum set was different than mine, I used to, when I would get done my drum solo, I would hop off to the left, to the right. Well, Jimmy had he had all these tom-toms and everything in the way, so I had to jump off to the left. Well, Donnie used to rest his bass on the side of the stage.
Oh, no.
Yep. And I jumped right on it, not knowing, never on purpose. I jumped right on it, broke it, just snapped it in half. And he was devastated because he loved that bass. He had it all worn out and had it to his loving, and I felt terrible.
Shit. You ended up buying him a new one, didn't you?
He wouldn't let us. I said the band should buy us. He goes, or no, I said I should buy you a new bass. Which they were about $900 at the time. I didn't have $900. And so I think we decided that the band would go ahead and replace it. And I thought that was very unfair to Jimmy because Jimmy only did one show and he's paying for a bass. So, but
welcome to the band, Jimmy.
Yeah, and again, Jimmy knew his ways and didn't fight it. Jimmy's a great guy.
Right.
He's one of the best of all time. And when he went down with a heart attack, I was devastated, and we all were. But everybody, we took a hiatus until Jimmy got himself back to the point where he can come back and play.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he had, and I don't remember, I might be wrong about this. I think Matt Starr came in after the heart attack, or he came in after the cardiac arrest. I forget which one was the cardiac arrest. So that was the weirdest thing when we were at Tally Ho, and Jimmy did a drum solo, and he stood up like this and sat back down and collapsed onto his snare drum. And we all thought, oh, he's fucking with these pedals or something. And he just stayed there. And Mark finally looked at Sam, our drum tech, and goes, check him. Sam went over and goes, it was bad. So then they just came in, they picked him up off the drum riser and laid him down on the ground. And Mark, thank God, and Brandon. Mark is a trained diver, so he knows CPR really good. And Brandon is an ENT. So they went to work on him immediately. And to this day, I believe, had they not been there, I don't know if he would have made it. So that was scary as fuck.
Yeah.
And then I was ready to stop right then and there. It's like, I don't want to do this. I'm putting Jimmy's life on the line for this. So Jimmy knew he had to go back and go through the rehab and all that shit again. And these guys were really working on me to bring somebody in to replace him. We had all these shows and we had to cancel a lot of shows. And so I finally relented, and they brought in Matt Starr. And we went down to Bob Perry's big giant garage and we rehearsed. Yeah, he's been around. He's a good session player.
Yeah.
He was great. He came in, and Jimmy was well enough to come down and sit in and watch him and give him any tips that might help him out. We did like 3 days of rehearsals, and I didn't even go the first day. I thought I'd give them guys time to work on it. And Jimmy was there with him, and Jimmy said, he was perfect. Just the first day. But I wanted him to feel comfortable. So we went down and did the whole show, did it 2 days in a row, and he did an amazing job. It was more comfortable than I thought it would be without Jimmy. But Jimmy does so many other things. He's not just a drummer.
Right.
He does so much for this band, or did so much.
A lot of people don't realize that.
Jimmy booked the hotels, he booked the flights. He was like the road manager, basically. And he took care of the payroll. He did so many things. And I'm like, nobody can replace him.
Well, also, just besides the drumming, he's got the brain there that he runs all the samples and everything.
He's always been like a tech head. He loves it. He loves that kind of shit.
Well, thank God you courted him and got him in the band, because he was definitely a major part of KIX.
Oh, yeah.
And if he wasn't in the band, who knows?
Probably wouldn't have made it.
Could have been different.
Yeah, probably wouldn't have gone as far as it did.
That's the thing about KIX. Everybody has such an important role they play. Even though every member except you have been replaced at one point or another, even if it was just
That's
for
true.
a show or two.
That's true.
But I think it's felt when Brian was out.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and then you had to switch.
We went through a lot of it with Ronnie. Ronnie was in and out,
Yeah.
in and out. He would not show up to shows, and Brian's they were learning all the parts and playing, and we pulled it off. But you know, it's not as good as what
Right.
it would be with two guitars.
Right.
There's just no way.
Right.
But yeah, Bob pulled it off, and Brian pulled it off. But yeah, you're right. I'm the only one that wasn't replaced. However, I was fired at one time.
Tell that story.
I was fired
Tell
at one time. This is a point where we're sending our demos up to the record label and to our management. And I looked at the list of songs that was sent to the management, and not one of my songs were on there. And I had written like 5 or 6. And they probably weren't great, but they at least needed a chance to be heard. You know, if they would have shot them down, I'd have been fine with that. But the fact that Donnie just eliminated them and didn't even send them up pissed me off. So I took it upon myself to send my songs to the management and to the record label. And Donnie got wind of that and said, "Fuck you, you're out of here."
Wow.
Yeah, you fired me. And then the other guys go, "Oh, Steve's not here. I'm gone." So I had leverage. But Jimmy's never been fired. But Jimmy, I think Brian was fired. Ronnie was fired.
Brian was fired?
Brian was fired.
Damn.
It was a Shiley Acre show. And, long stories.
Right. We'll
stories.
get to that on another podcast.
All right.
That's amazing.
But Jimmy's the best. He's a
Yeah.
great guy. He's generous. He's forgiving. He's loving. He's got a great wife and Kathy.
Yep.
He's a happy guy, and couldn't have a better friend.
Awesome. Next up on the word association, your
Okay.
honest opinion.
Okay. Do I ever give you a fake opinion?
Well, you just for this one, Kelly Whitman.
Oh, the love of my life. No
There you
doubt
go.
about it.
There you go.
She know her gagging. I don't know what I'd have done without her, because she's my rock now, especially now. But the fact that she put up with 41 years of being in KIX and all the touring and all the absence and
Yeah.
you know, and she handled it like a champ. And I wasn't always the best guy in the world, and came home and told her my discrepancies, and fucking hurt. Took a while to go through it, get some counseling, and she stuck with me. And thank God, because we're 41 years in now. It's a long time.
It's a hell of a woman.
A long
to go
time for
through all
somebody that
that.
does what I do for a living.
Tell them why you married
Yeah.
me at the Rabbit's Foot.
Oh, yeah, we were talking about the Rabbit's Foot last podcast.
Yeah.
Kelly and I were at the Rabbit's Foot one night. Place was packed, and there was this guy, drunk as fuck, just laying on the floor. And people were walking by and just walking over him. Nobody would help the guy. They just walked over him. Kelly went over, picked the guy up, put him up on a bar stool. And I just thought, that's one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Nobody else would do that. So it just made me fall in love with her right there.
Wow.
We were dating for what, 2 weeks? And I proposed to her.
No kidding.
Yep.
It
3
worked.
weeks, sorry.
It worked.
Makes all the difference. 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
That's a long courting time.
That's great. That's a good story.
Married after 5.5 months.
Yeah.
Tom Kiefer.
Tom Kiefer. Great story about Cinderella. Tom's a great guy. I love Tom. And he's super talented. We were playing L'Amour's in Brooklyn. We play there all the time. So when up and coming bands like Cinderella, who needed some exposure, just got a record deal, it wasn't out yet. So these guys come in while we're doing our sound check. And I mean, they look like rock stars. We're like t-shirts, jeans, Chuck Taylors. And these guys come in looking like Steven Tyler and Aerosmith. I mean, they were decked to the nines. And we were just, who the fuck are those guys? So we did our sound check and left like we always do, because you don't play at L'Amour's till like 2:30 in the morning.
Okay.
So we get back around 1 o'clock and Cinderella's on stage. And I never go out and watch an opening band unless it really catches my ear. These guys caught my ear, and I went out and watched Cinderella play, and I'm watching them and digging them and fucking thinking these guys are going to be great. It was like the same thing I got when I saw Guns N' Roses, same kind of thing. And they were getting over so well that they didn't want to come off stage. And the stage manager at the time, they used to have this big screen that would come down. They would show videos in between bands. Well, Tom's up there singing, and this video screen comes down and hits him in the head. And for a year or more, he thought that we were the ones that said enough. It wasn't us, because I was digging him, and I can understand why the crowd was getting off on him. But we straightened all that out and done many shows with them. And yeah, great
Well, I
guy.
remember when we were sharing you and I were there, and you were sharing a dressing room with Tom Kiefer. You brought that story up and talked to him about it. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, we just laugh about it now.
Yeah.
But at the time, and we didn't know they were going to be that big and that huge. But,
Sure.
But we cleared it all up, and we got to do a bunch of shows with them.
So that's another one of those examples. They started out opening for you, and then
Yep.
at some point, KIX was opening for Cinderella.
Yeah, many bands. Skid Row, we did that. Poison, we did that. Tour. I don't know if we ever opened for Tour. But there was so many bands that opened for us, and just went. We're just sitting there going put, 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 put.
Next name on the list, this should be interesting. Kip Winger.
Oh, Kip. Kip's a great guy. Super talented, and I one of the few bands that I miss seeing on the cruise, because he was always spectacular. Winger was always great. Kip, we met Kip when we were doing Midnight Dynamite. Him and Bo Hill were very close friends, and Kip was running around the studio almost like a grunt, just he would do anything that anybody would ask him to. And him and Donnie hooked up and wrote a song together, Bang Bang Balls of Fire.
Okay.
And we just hit it off. We've been friends for forever. And Kip always, gives me props, and I always give him his props. But great guy, super talented. And I think when I announced my retirement, he sent me a text, and he congratulated me and said, hope you enjoy it. Hope life is good to you. He said, I don't think I'm that far behind you. I hope I'm not letting something out of the bag. But
Right.
Kip's real love is classical music, and he's done albums and CDs of classical music, and that's where his heart really is. And I think one day he wants to get back to that.
I read some facts about Kip Winger a couple of weeks ago, and one of them was that he actually studied ballet.
Yeah.
Like that was one of his passions
He
before
likes
he
the
got
arts.
into Alice Cooper's band when he was playing bass for Alice Cooper.
I saw him play with Alice.
Did
In fact,
you?
he got us into the show. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I had Matt Starr written down here, but you already covered him.
Mhm.
So let's go to these son of a bitches.
Those sons of bitches.
Atlantic Records. What's your thoughts on them?
That's about all I got for them.
Fuck them.
Yeah, they had no idea what to do with us. We knew when we got signed and we did our first record, and the first record is the easiest one to make because we've been playing all those songs that are already written.
Okay.
And we thought, we're on Atlantic Records. We got Bud Prager, who was managing Foreigner at the time. Was like, we can't miss. We missed. And Atlantic, it's one of them deals where the record company is so big that they just take your record, they throw it up against the wall, and if it sticks, they'll put money behind it. If it doesn't stick, next. But our fan base kept us alive, and we just were able to keep making records. But Atlantic never knew what to do with us. The second album, they really made us tone it down. We had so many songs that we wanted to record and go, nah, we're going to bring some outside writers in, and we're going to give you Body Talk, and we're going to give you Burning Love and Cool Kids, and we were going like, but we were, when you're told by the record company, your management, producers, everybody's just ganging up on you, you do what you're told.
Yeah.
So, but we always hated that record, and that's well known.
Yeah.
But some people love that record. They're just stupid. I'm kidding.
Let's talk about our right-hand company here, our main sponsor, Simple Pleasures. Now, you are in the process right now of doing a colonoscopy prep. Therefore,
How do you know that?
I heard through the rainbow. Jesus Christ!
You're not even high.
Not
None of us are high. I can't do anything today. Can't drink, can't smoke. What do you do? Can't drink, can't smoke.
okay. So what I was getting at is the first time in 2 months that you haven't indulged in Simple Pleasures product.
Yeah.
Because you have to prep for this thing
Yeah.
tomorrow.
I don't know if you've never done a colonoscopy.
I'm due. I'm getting one this year.
Good.
I haven't yet.
Good. They're important. They suck, but they're important. Actually, the high that you get when they put you out, it's the best nap ever. So I look forward to that. I don't
There we
look
go.
forward to tonight where I got to drink that shit
Yeah.
and explode.
But just think, tomorrow you get to indulge in some Simple Pleasures good stuff.
Oh yeah.
So with that being said, again, Hunter, our right-hand man at Simple Pleasures, the best. He's the best. Any questions we have about any of the products, the guy is a walking encyclopedia. And generous, he hooks us up with the store, basically.
Super generous.
Super generous, and their products are top-notch. So if you're local to the Hagerstown area and you haven't seen the POTcast before, and this is your first one, run, don't walk to Simple Pleasures there in the Old Orchard Shopping Center. If you smoke weed and indulge, check it out. Before you go to the dispensary over on Wessel Boulevard, stop at Simple Pleasures, see what they can do for you. It's good stuff.
They got edibles too. They got everything. Vapes, edibles.
They have bongs.
They have a lot of bongs. Fuck, they gave me 2 of them.
So it's all Steve Whitman endorsed products over there. So get it while you can.
Get it while it's pot.
What I wanted to ask you, you
Right.
had mentioned about when you were talking about Kelly, you said while you were out on the road. What's the longest you ever left home to be out on the road in one shot?
18 months.
Wow.
Yep. We did, I guess it was Blow My Fuse. And then we went right from the studio out on tour. And it was 18 months. Was I home at all, Kelly?
For a weekend.
One weekend out of
I
18
think.
months.
Wow.
So she would have to come out on the road and when we wanted to get together before we had kids. But she was working. It wasn't easy. It sucked. It's hard being out there. And we would play like 45 minutes. Then you travel 400 miles and you check into a hotel room, and I wake up early to do press, and it's rigorous.
Was it all tour bus?
Most of it, yeah.
Okay. So just living with at least four other guys plus the driver.
Plus the crew.
Oh,
We
for
had like
18
11,
months?
12 people in there.
That had to be a job in itself.
Luckily, everybody was cool. Everybody was nice. Everybody got along. So it was fun at times, but it was grueling too.
I'll bet.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Something else I wanted to ask you. We touched on school a little bit, but were you the class clown?
I was one of them.
Were you?
I was definitely one of them. I think the other guy was Pat Lannon. He looked like me. We were both blonde and skinny and full of shit. And him and I were, we were the class clowns. We could make anybody laugh. When I was in St. Peter's Catholic school, I used to sit up front because that's where they would put the bad kids up front. So you're right there within slapping distance, And I used to get slapped all the time. Nuns could beat the hell out of you. One nun come up to me one time, picked me up by my hair out of my desk, and sat me back down. She had a big handful of hair, and it scared the shit out of her. So she put it back on my head.
Are you serious?
I told my mother that, and she just laughed. Most parents would have gone, "Oh, kick that nun's ass."
Yeah.
No, you're not. Them nuns are tough. They take fucking karate and shit.
Sister Mary Elephant.
Yeah. I had a good friend of mine, Pat Noonan. I love Pat. Pat passed away. He was defending this younger, weaker, smaller kid. That's the way Pat was. He was always defending the smaller people. And a nun comes in at the end where Pat's defending this smaller guy, and he's beating the hell out of this bigger guy, and the nuns just grab him. And they put him up against a brick wall, slammed his head up against the wall, and just slapped the shit out of him. I couldn't believe it. And the fact that they can get away with that, you can't now,
Right.
but back then, you could.
Jesus.
Yeah. Catholic school, that sucked.
So we're going to Catholic school. Don't you get a name? Don't they give you a Catholic name?
Yeah, like a confirmation name,
Yeah.
they call it. Yeah, Stephen Francis Thomas Whiteman.
Thomas, they
Yeah.
added.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you pick it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. And one of my good friends that was in my same grade, his family moved away, and I missed him, so I thought, I'll use his name as my confirmation name.
That's cool.
Yeah. I'm not a practicing Catholic anymore.
Right.
I gave that shit up for Lent.
That's commitment.
Yeah, I'm a quitter.
So let's talk about our newest sponsor,
Okay.
Backseat Bar and Grill and Backseat Arena in
Winchester.
Virginia. Yeah.
Great room. Played it a couple times, sold it out. Great place, great people. Yeah, it's a good venue, and it's close. You know, it's relative to Washington, to Baltimore, to here. It's central.
And if you're out on the bike, summer's coming. It's a perfect spot for a burger and a beer.
Yeah.
We did that last summer. We all stopped. There's a group of about 10 of us. Stopped for a burger, and everybody else had beer, not me. And
Wimp.
I know.
You're a quitter.
Continued on the ride. I am a quitter, but I'm 50. I'll pick it up. Some of my bad habits, I'll pick them up again later in life.
Good.
We'll have fun.
Good.
So what they have coming up at the Backseat Arena is Dub Loads, Feeling the Bass, and that's coming March 22nd. I'm not sure who that is.
No, not either.
But they
Look it
only
up. Google it.
book. Jerry books the best of the best over there, and he brings in national acts. And actually,
I saw Green Day.
is.
We played at the Mohegan Sun,
Mhm.
and when we got done, they were playing in the arena adjacent to it, and they were great. They were so good, so entertaining. In fact, I stole from him. I'm a
Did you?
thief. Well, he had, the big vocal thing I would do with the audience.
Oh,
He did a real similar thing. I didn't do the exact same thing he did, but I thought that's cool. That's a good way to always pull your audience in. So I stole that.
Okay, Brett Michaels Jr.
Fuck.
I'm just kidding. April 12th, they have
I love it.
Rosie Soul Rocks the Night. I'm not sure what that is either. Rosie Soul Rocks the Night. That's April 12th.
We should probably get a
coming up.
description of these bands.
We're going to get a description. We're going to post it on our Facebook this week, individually, each band. This episode won't come out until Sunday morning.
Mm-hmm.
So after it posts, we're going to go ahead and give descriptions of each one.
Just leave them on.
Something else. The biggest celebrity encounter you've had.
Oh, I've had a lot of them. I've been fortunate. I think one of the biggest ones was when we were making probably the first album, and it's when the Blues Brothers got on Atlantic Records, and our A&R guy took us down to this little club in the village, and John Belushi was emceeing, and they had a little green room for him, and they took us all back, and we got to meet John Belushi.
Wow.
Yeah, he was very cool. Said he heard who we were and liked the band. And of course, he lied, but that was very cool. And then I met Sylvester Stallone at the Rainbow in L.A.
Wow.
They had this tier. You got your regular people, you got your semi people, then you got musicians.
Okay.
And it's like the third rung. So Sylvester was up there, and we were lucky enough to get up there this night. And he was just standing there. Nobody was bothering him. And I had to go up to him and go, "Big fan. Thank you very much."
Do you remember what year? I'm just wondering what movies were out then. I guess the Rockies were out.
Oh, yeah. It was probably Hot Wire, 88.
Okay. That would have been Blow My Fuse.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And he said he was a big fan?
He lied. But I can't prove it now because he's not around.
Did he have a big entourage, or was he?
No, he was just
really
there
by
by
himself?
himself. Yeah.
Wow.
And he was funny, he was John Belushi. But who else? Alice Cooper was a huge thrill for me.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
texted Lizzie Hale, who was opening for Alice at the time. And I said, "Lizzie, you got to get me in here. And I want to meet Alice." And she hooked me up, and I got to meet Alice. But it was like a meet and greet line. It's not like I got to sit down and talk to him.
Right.
So I went through the meet and greet line, and I go up to him, and I could tell he recognized me because he looked at me real funny. But I couldn't talk. I couldn't say a fucking thing. I was so blown away by meeting Alice Cooper because I loved him since I was like 13. And yeah, that was weird. I didn't think I would ever clam up like that, but I did.
Well, when I first met you, it was 1990, 89 or 90. You had played the Maryland Theater.
Okay.
And I had an in there. I had a friend that was working there. So I was there before they opened the doors, and I was out front of the old Maryland Theater. It was different back then. And you came walking through. You had on a black jacket with lapels, walking through with your hands behind you like you were just looking around, and it was just me and you in the room. I thought, holy shit, because, KIX was my Beatles growing up. You guys were my Beatles.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Unbelievable. And here you come walking. I said, oh, my God, it's Steve Whitman. And I had a cassette tape insert of Blow My Fuse in a Sharpie. And I couldn't muster up anything to say besides, can you sign this? And I was so nervous handing you the pen, I wrote on your finger. And that ruined my night. I said, my God, I get to meet my hero. And I wrote all over his hand. He's going to think about that the whole night. And probably every night afterwards, I just felt like I wanted to crawl away in a corner. But I couldn't speak, and you turned around and walked away, and I said, man, nobody's going to believe I just met Steve Whitman.
I have no recollection of that.
Of
Sorry.
course. He could have lied and said, oh, that was you.
That was you?
Yeah, that was me.
I'm an actor.
And then our official meeting came a few years, 5 or 6 years later, and it's been all up downhill ever since.
Yep. Hate you.
Hate you, love you for it.
Hate you too.
North Carolina gun incident.
Oh.
Now this is interesting.
We used to play a lot of rooms in North Carolina. It was probably about 5 or 6 rooms we could play down there. I believe this one was called the Attic. I don't remember which town it was in, but we played. Usually we could get big crowds down there because we amassed a good reputation. But for whatever reason, this night at the Attic, big club held about 700-800 people. We might have had 100 people in there. So whatever happened, we don't know. But at the end of the night, I go to get paid, and I go in and he said, you guys didn't do very well, so I'm gonna knock your pay down. So I went out and told Donnie, this guy wants to knock our pay down. So he pulled out this union contract, which is you can wipe your ass with.
Right.
It means nothing. So I take this ass wiping contract into this club owner, who's a big, he's a burly guy, big fucking redneck, and I slapped this shit-eating contract down in front of him. I said, this is what we're owed. This is a union contract. You signed it. You need to pay us. And he opens up this drawer real slow, and he pulled out a 38, slaps it on the table, and goes, boy, I've been doing this since you've been shitting green. The fuck out of my office.
Yikes.
I did. I left, and I went out and told Donnie, he ain't paying us. So Donnie had this screwdriver, and we're sitting on this stage, and the stage has all these these woofers, like 18-inch woofers, all across the stage. And Donnie's sitting there, and he goes, poof, and you scoot down a little bit, and poof, scoot down a little bit more. Poof. He put holes in every one of them speakers. So fuck you. You don't want to pay us. Buy new speakers. Donnie was great at that shit.
Oh, good. That's what the guy deserves.
Yep, exactly.
He don't want to pull a gun on you now.
No, I'll pull mine back.
Damn right.
Quick draw McGraw.
Game time, fellas.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I've been shooting guns for a year, and I'll kill you.
Oh, shit. Let's get to some emails.
Emails.
We got a few cool emails. So, Mindy Parks, no relation. Mindy Parks writes, where did you get the KIX pendant?
The KIX pendant. Oh, that thing I
Yeah.
used to wear. Unfortunately, it's gone. Maria and Alan,
Okay.
just fans, come around, and they had them. They both had these little golden KIX necklaces.
Okay.
And they come up and introduced themselves, and they showed it to me, and I go, wow, that's really cool. Love to have one. Next time I saw them, they gave me one.
No shit.
Yeah. And one night, we were playing somewhere. I think it might have been the Sandbar in Baltimore. And I get close to the crowd and fuck with them. Some guy ripped it off my neck.
Did you pull your gun?
I didn't have a gun then.
Okay, he's lucky.
And I was pissed, man. I was pissed. And then I thought about it, and I said, you know, somebody ripped this necklace off of me, and if you give it back, we'll give you backstage passes to all of our shows. I just made up all this bullshit. We weren't going to do any of it. This guy takes his shoe off and brings it back. And I go, security, get that fucker out of here.
No shit. Wow. Good. What an asshole.
Oh, I loved it. Get him out of here.
Was he shocked?
Oh yeah. He thought he was going to be my best buddy.
He hit the
I'm
golden
going to hang
lottery
out with
ticket.
these guys, and he got fucking tossed.
Fucking right. Oh man, that's awesome. That's a great ending to that story. Okay, this next email comes from somebody you're very familiar with, Paula Boggs.
Oh, I know Paula very well. I've known Paula all my life.
Is she the mayor of your hometown?
Yeah, in fact, she's
Or
the one that
was, or-
she gave me the key to the city. That's what you see when you go down to my man cave. It's right there for everybody to see it.
And she also had put on the sign at Piedmont, home of Steve Whiteman.
Yeah, she's a
cool.
fan. She's a super fan. They're very proud. It's a very small town, and anybody that does anything, they're very proud of it. So,
Oh, I can tell. You've got a lot of Piedmont people that
Yeah.
talk about everything you've
Yeah.
done, and they definitely claim you as their own. That's for sure.
I know. I used to be embarrassed when I'd come in to visit my mom, and they'd be home of Steve Whiteman. I'm like, oh Jesus.
So Paula writes, "Hey Steve, tell the story about Pat up on the stage at the Attic Lounge in Kaiser, West Virginia, to sing the
Loco Emotion.
audience participation for
Right.
Loco Emotion."
Right.
Okay.
Loco Emotion had this. We stole it from the Stones.
Okay.
Waiting on a friend.
Okay.
So
yeah.
we ripped that right off.
Damn,
so
I never thought about that.
yeah, I would get the crowd to do it, and then I would bring somebody up on stage to do it. And my good friend was there, Pat Noonan was there, and he was on the side of the stage. And I said, Pat, come on out here and sing. And I gave him the mic, and I had another mic backstage. So Pat's up there going, but it wasn't him, it was me.
Awesome. Oh, really?
Yeah. And everybody's going, that's fucking great, Pat. You're really good. I could hardly hold it together.
That's awesome. That's good. And you haven't sang since
No, I'm
September of
September
23?
17th. Yeah.
that was right on it. I love that.
It's falsetto. That's easy. It's the break point that says none more.
All right, next question. This is an email from Mike Persing.
Love you, Paula, by the way.
Mike Persing says, "Hey, Steve, I was at the Hummel's Wharf show when the power went out. Do you have a horror story of a stage malfunction that you have never forgotten?"
Well, the David Lee Roth thing, that was the worst.
Okay.
In front of the Capitol Center and thousands of people, and they cut the power off on us
Yeah.
and all mayhem. What?
The girl,
My wife is talking to me. What?
New York.
Oh, that's a good one. In the 80s, girls would tease their hair up and put all kinds of hairspray on it. It was like just giant hair. And that's when we do the sparkler
Yeah.
on the Midnight Dynamite microphone. And I got too close to her, and her hair went, it just caught on
Oh,
fire.
shit.
And I'm stamping out her head. And then our road crew guys come over and to help me stamp out her head. And then they gave her hell. If you dumb bitch, you can't come up here with a head full of shit like that and expect not to catch on fire. And they made her feel like hell and kicked her out.
Oh my God. Oh.
I mean, it was
That poor
stupid.
girl.
That's so flammable. I mean, Aqua that shit. Because some people used to use it for a torch.
Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah.
got a little close. Went right up.
You're feeling a little bit of that right now. Jeez. That poor woman. Jeez. Okay. Last email. This is from somebody named, I don't know if they made this name up or if it really is their name. Flufala. We're sorry.
That sounds like a drug they try to pawn off on TV. get some fluflala. It makes your dick fall off and your ears will bleed. Fluflala. Remember that. Ask your doctor about fluflala.
Last name Autry, Flufala Autry.
Wow, what a name. Is that a guy? Flufala? What kind of name? Maybe they're from Portugal or some shit.
Well, they want to talk about West Virginia football.
Wow.
Says Steve, what are your thoughts on Rich Rod's return to ear football?
I was kind of shocked. I mean, when Rich Rod was there and when in the heyday, when West Virginia used to be a really proud program, and Rich Rodriguez had them like one game away from the national championship at the end of the regular season, and it was against Pitt, their arch rival, and Pitt beat them and knocked them out of contention for the national championship. And Rich Rod bailed, and he went to Michigan, and West Virginia people hated his guts, and he didn't do well at Michigan. I think he went to Arizona. He didn't do well there. So now they're inviting him back, and I'm on the fence. I don't know. I mean, I'm curious. I want to see if he can bring it back. But West Virginia hasn't been a really proud program for a long time, so I've kind of lost touch with them. I watch them here and there, but not religiously like I used to.
Okay, that's cool.
But yeah, I'm curious. I hope he does well. I hope he brings him back because he was a great coach. So fingers crossed for Rich Rod.
Right on. Sounds good. And as far as pro teams, you're a lifelong Redskins fan.
Well, I was a lifelong Colts fan first.
Right.
I remember Johnny Unitas and Earl Morrall and all those great players. And then I forget who was quarterbacking when they snuck out of town. It was a good quarterback. But the Ursays moved him because the Colts, first they lost John Elway, and he refused to come to Baltimore and play for the Ursays. So the writing was on the wall that the team was going to sneak out of town, and they did. So my next logical choice, because the Redskins were always on.
Right.
Sometimes the Colts would be blacked out, but the Redskins were sold out all the time, and they were always on. So it was a natural thing for me to go right to the Redskins.
My entire family's Redskins fan. My father, from 56 to 59, played on the Redskins marching band.
Oh, you told me that. That's cool.
And he was 6'8", so everybody
Holy shit.
say my dad played for the Redskins.
Did you ever see him
He
play?
played in the band.
Did you ever go to a game and see him?
No, he did it from 1956 to 1959.
Oh, okay.
I was born 15 years after.
See, I was born in 56.
But I've contacted like the alumni and stuff and said, could I get a poster or a picture or anything that has to do with my dad?
Yeah.
And nothing exists. They don't have anything that goes back that far.
That's too bad.
Just the story from my mom and my aunts who were around at the time.
That's very cool.
It was pretty cool. So we're Redskins too, and I know you were a big Redskins fan.
Yeah.
And
I got to go to a Super Bowl.
That's right.
Minneapolis, 1991. I got to go. It was one of the, other than having children and getting married, it was one of the best days of my life. It was great. It was very cool. It's great. It's cool. It's great. Skrr.
I've noticed, you've slowly leaned towards the Ravens now.
Well, the Redskins sucked for a decade.
Yeah.
They weren't good. Their ownership sucked. They would do these dumb, they would get great players that would work on paper, then they'd come here and they'd suck. So I just lost interest in them. They weren't worth watching. So I immediately went to the Ravens, local team. I can drive down and watch them. Beautiful stadium. You ever been down there?
Yes.
It's great. And now they're great. And now the Redskins, or the Commanders, are great. So we got two really good teams local. So it's a lot of fun.
How's the Orioles doing?
Orioles are great. Orioles, the last 2 years, have made the playoffs. So I'm hoping this year they haven't gone very far into the playoffs, but the Orioles they're on a comeback. New ownership means a lot when people have deeper pockets. That's how teams get good.
So it could be a great year for all your teams.
Should be. Now I got to get Masson. How do I get Masson? Somebody help me. The only way you can watch the Orioles is on Masson.
Oh, come on, you know we can get that.
Okay.
You're good.
All right.
we got the stuff. This is our 7th episode of the POTcast. We didn't know.
It only seems like 6.
We didn't know when we started it. This was something that was going to continue. If we would do a couple and say, we've tapped it out. But I mean, as far as myself, I still look forward to these things. They're a lot of fun. I think we have an endless amount of conversation and topics we can talk about.
It's turning into that, isn't
Plenty
it?
of material. You are bringing it on yourself. You know.
So people used to say, Steve, why don't you write a book? Well, that's what we're doing right
Here
now.
it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you can take all these podcasts, write them down. That's my story.
People are saying, you know, we love the inside to the KIX stories that
Mhm.
we weren't privy to from the 80s and 90s and even the latest.
Well, usually when when I get interviewed, it's stupid cliche questions. You
Yeah.
know, you're asking things that's going to pull a story out of me, and that's what people want to hear.
Yeah.
They don't want to hear what was your first band you liked. Who gives a shit?
Do you remember Hammerjacks?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you remember
that kind of shit?
Do you remember meeting me at Hammerjacks? I had on the blue shirt.
I always say absolutely, I do. That gets rid of them. If I say no, they'll go through and remind me.
Yeah. He's got to say yeah at
Yeah.
some point.
Oh, sure. How could I forget you? You're fucking incredible.
But my whole point to that was the response has just been amazing from you guys. Our videos are getting watched with huge numbers. There's a lot of traffic on our Facebook, our YouTube. It's I think it's here to stay. And me and Steve always say, the day it becomes not fun is the day we're not going to do the podcast anymore. You know, we're not going to do something we don't want to do. It takes a lot of time, and you know, Jamie commits a lot of time to this as well. And so we're having fun. There's no end in sight as
As long as it
now.
works, I'm in.
Send your questions to the POTcast, POTcast 2025 at gmail.com. We go through them, and the ones that we feel is going to be cool to talk about, we'll read them on one of our episodes. So keep them coming in. That helps us out a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And you take us out. That's how you do that.
Right.